Welcome into a busy day in the sky. Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast for Wednesday, December 27th. And I'm just looking at today's chart, and I'm realizing that slippery Mercury, while we were on our holiday break and not looking, has wiggled its way into the Oracle planet. So it's the one that comes up now right before the sun. If you're not familiar with that, you can even look this up in your own chart. Basically, what you do is you move the chart of the day you were born to right before sunrise, whether that's forward or backward, and then you just advance the planets as though sunrise was happening, so you cross the sun through that ascendant point, and the planet that's right there higher than it, that's the Oracle planet. And the idea is that in your natal chart, it's the planet that says, hey, you are getting ready to come to the world. Your soul is back. So it adds that kind of seasoning to your natal chart. Well, in the Oracle planet of the day, we could say, Mercury retrograde, blah, 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 blah. And Mercury's getting stronger again because it's getting ready to station on Monday. And it won't stay in that Oracle position long because, speaking of these two, they conjoin tonight at 7:31 p.m. Eastern. This is one of those ironies in the chart right now because Mercury is slowing down so much. Mars conjoins it tonight and then overtakes it and will be back in that Oracle position tomorrow morning. Now, we mentioned yesterday the aspects that are happening today, and it is quite a list. So at 2:42 this morning, Mercury squared Neptune. Then the big one, the juicy one, the one we all want to pollinate from, is the Sun trining Jupiter at 10:30 this morning. And then just rounding out the list one more time, the last aspect is Mercury conjoining Mars. That's at 7:30. Wow, that's a lot of energy converging on today. Will be interesting to see how you feel it and how the collective feels it. And one other side note, as we're talking about these obscure things, moon wobbles and oracle planets on the same day. But the moon wobble is when the sun either conjoins or squares the nodes of the moon. The next square is on January 10th. So that means that if we back up 14 calendar days from that, we end up on today. So that's the 14-day window of the moon wobble. Some people believe it begins with 21 days, which was last Wednesday, which was the day after the Iceland volcano. So take your pick, but we're in the window now for sure. This was coined by Carl Payne Toby, who, interestingly, was best friends with a guy by the name of Grant Louis. Some of you know exactly who that is. His seminal work was Heaven Knows What, which was written back in the 1930s, and then Astrology for the Millions was written in 1940. Grant Louis was the mentor of Linda Goodman, and Linda Goodman and Robert Glasscock, of course, were kind of running around together back in the day, not as a couple. They weren't a couple at all. Linda had somebody else in her life. Robert was an understudy of Linda Goodman's for about 4 years back in the early 70s. And, of course, Robert Glasscock and I host the Old Soul, New Soul podcast. So there's a pedigree, a lineage that goes back. And I asked Robert about the moon wobble not too long ago. He doesn't follow it. That's one of those Chiron things. I wouldn't even bring it up. But I said, it's in your lineage, Carl Payne Toby. And he, of course, knew who I was talking about. But one of the things that the followers of the moon wobble say is don't initiate anything big during the moon wobble. So that would be 7 days past January 10th. Yeah, it happens quite often. 4 months out of the 12, the moon is in this moon wobble phase. If you take that at face value, it's almost like this move forward, pause kind of cycle. And then often, like this one, they coincide with Mercury retrograde. Now, the big energy today is obviously the sun trining Jupiter. That's like the ultimate gold thumb right there. That's the one you want to lock onto. That is abundance. That's us experiencing good things. It's a great aspect, and it's one to be enjoyed. The moon is full. We've done our releasing. Now the moon is getting a little bit softer every day, and the abundant blessings of Jupiter come into the empty space that we created yesterday. Then there's Mercury. I'm thinking about our monkey mind, and the monkey mind encountering this square, first of all, to Neptune. Mercury's in retrograde, so that's a time to review. So we sit down for a minute, especially still under the beams of this full moon yesterday evening, and we look at who is in control of my thoughts, who's running the show. I've been talking about this a lot in readings, and yes, readings are coming back next year. I just need some time to stop and pause, and I'm going to go down and hang with my brother in Florida for a little bit, and during that time, I will get new reservations figured out and relaunched, and we'll get that back going. They'll probably begin in February, but we'll get the reservations up in mid-January. So I'll keep you posted on that. Those of you who want to jump on that quick, I think I've already had some people say that they wanted to. I'll give you a countdown on that, okay? So you'll have plenty of time. But we've been talking about this a lot, about who controls your thoughts. Is it the monkey mind, which only is encapsulated in the physical realm, or is it the spiritual connection to the home office of Neptune? And that would be a great way to play that aspect individually, is just to take some review time from retrograde and take a look at, are you beating to the drum of a higher call, or do you argue it out as soon as that prompt comes? Because that's the activated full-on Mercury. Oh, you get prompts, you get blinks, as Malcolm Gladwell called them. You get intuitive guidance, but then you take it right back to Mercury and let it grab the wheel and steer you away from the very source that knows your plan, your purpose, and can see around the corner and tried to give you that inspiration. And you jerk it away, and Mercury will take back control and run you down Monkey Mind Highway 101. Then real quick, Mercury conjoining Mars, that to me is kind of like where the nodes of the moon are right now with the North Node in Aries. What it's saying is, do we stand up for our own power? Retrograde, review, take a look. Am I standing in my power, or am I being driven by other influences, such as fear, doubt, an exaggerated Jupiter need for security? Or are you standing in the strength and power of your own presence? And actually, if you do that Neptune work right, then you're standing in the guidance of higher source, higher self, higher purpose, God, the all that is. And when you stand in that power, then you are standing in some power, no doubt. See, busy day, but a really fun, cool day to move our soul path forward. Hope that helps. You guys have a wonderful one. Sending you all kinds of love, and I'll see you back tomorrow.